someone there to call your own. Just remember, my dear friend, you're not alone.
In Ghana, a lot of people grow up poor. Um, and it's similar, my situation, we didn't always have what you want, but you had what you needed, and one thing my parents ensured that we got. Um, I have three other siblings. It's a good education, That was something that was impressed upon us from very early is get your education. Um, and that is something that I have zero regrets on, like paying a lot of attention to books, was always an avid reader. Loved reading, um, writing poetry, short stories. That was my thing. And then from school, of course, my mom was the person who said, James, go do law, because I wanted to do history. I loved history, man. I got a distinction in that thing at CXC. But my mama says, like, you should go do law because what are you gonna do with history? Teach. And I did not want to be no teacher. I did not think I wanted to do was be a teacher because as a student, you know, I I I gave a few teachers some trouble. I ain't gonna lie. I gave a few teachers some trouble. So I never wanted to teach. So my mom was like, go do law. I got a scholarship to do law. So and because again we couldn't afford to pay the tuition. So we had to get a scholarship for that. And that was excellent law. I must give a big, big shout out to Professor Bishop, former Chancellor of the Judiciary, AFR Bishop. That is someone who um, I would consider if there was a mentor, if there was somebody who I looked up to, that would be him. Um, so, Professor Bishop, I know you're listening from heaven. So, thanks for the inspiration. I think at one time I went to Professor Bishop and I was like, Professor, you ever thought about like quitting law? Because he would like tell us stories of how grew poor, and back in those was British Guyana, and they had to get scholarships to go study law in the UK. So he had a stint over there, and of course, being away from your family, being away from home, having to work and study to make ends meet, etc. He had that experience. And it's very tough. And I asked if he ever thought about quitting, and if you know Professor Bishop, he spoke. Oh, he spoke. He's like, never. Kind of Churchillian, the way that he spoke. And so I always say, I would never quit, no matter how rough and tough it got. You never quit. You never give up. So I pushed on through law. It's 20 years now that I'm in practice, actually. Graduated UG in 2000. Yes. And then from Huning in 2002. So I've been in practice of law for 20 years. And I had a good run in politics. I went out, met a lot of people. I was just saying, and I've slept, I haven't lived, but I've spent nights in every single region, and that's because of politics. That's because of law. I got to see my country in its entirety, and that's a great privilege in meeting people. I love people. If there's anything I could tell you, I love people. I love meeting people. I love hearing about people's stories. It's fascinating um, to share and hear where they came from, where they are today. So that was that. And then from politics, I decided in 2000 to 2020, I decided after the elections, I decided, I probably need a different direction, a new challenge, because law is challenging, politics is challenging. So I decided to do some business, and I think that is the most challenging thing I've ever done. There's so many moving parts, and you're responsible for uh, more people in a sense. Intimately, you're responsible for more persons, and it is a challenge every single day. You work days, you work nights. Um, it is fascinating, it is fun, but it's hard work. And I grew up in a family that always taught us, hard work never kill nobody. You work hard to get your dreams, achieve your goals, and it never kill nobody. That all hard work does is help you to achieve your goals, and fulfill your dreams. So I enjoy the hard work, can't complain. So for the past 2 years or so, I've been in business. Um, I run cigars and cognac. That's on the East Coast of Melanie. Um, and there are some other small businesses I dabble in, car rental. Um, we have a barber shop as well. Must say big shout out to my two other partners, Floyd Arthur, Krishana Ross. Those are my business partners, persons who share the burden with me. I am here because of those shoulders that I stand on. Beginning with my mom and dad. My mom and dad are my greatest inspiration. They're my greatest mentors. My father's a pastor, mom is a nurse, like I said, Leslie Bond and Grace Bond. So everything I am as a person, um, family oriented, loving people because my mom and dad, they're about loving people. My father's a pastor. My mom is a nurse. I grew up seeing them love people, like giving people. They're all like in our household, we had to give. We had to give like our clothes. We had to give them to the Armenian person, Armenian just people. Food stuff we had to give. So that is something that was taught to us. So it started from that mentorship right there. My mom and dad teaching us. And they were Christian. They're Christians as well. So that kind of teaching stuck with me. And then when it came to every other thing, is I don't want to think like if I didn't have persons like St. James, this is the way to go. This is the way not to go. If I would have been the same James today, I doubt it. Like I can't see myself um, in law without perhaps someone like an AFR bishop, like Professor Bishop saying, "Don't quit." I might have quit. I don't like to focus on what might have been, but I could tell you, I am today because of all these shoulders that I stood on. If you look at a lot of first world societies, there's this big brother relationship. They inculcate that where there's a lot of mentorship programs for young adults, for teens, for kids. That is something that is instilled in the first world culture that persons come back to the community in which they grew and provide some sort of mentorship and guidance to young people. That's something that is missing in our communities. We don't have that institutionalized in our communities. Giving back is something that I've always done and I continue to do. Only and now that I'm just the other day, a young man came to me in terms of business. He says, Mr. Bondam, I see what you did. You started from nothing, and I want you to mentor me in terms of business. I'm saying, and I agreed. So even now in business, persons are seeing the example, and it's like, James, I need to learn a bit, see what you did, what were your pitfalls, what were your successes, and how you did it. I have a saying, knowledge is something that you could share and still retain. You could share the vast extent of your knowledge and still retain it. So when you give knowledge, you're not losing anything. You're just sowing a seed that can grow later. You still retain all that knowledge. You got to follow your passion. All right, law was never my first love. It was never my first love. My first love is history. My first love is history. Will always be history. I could sit and read, um, and study cultures, study wars, um, study civilizations. I could do that all day. That is my passion. So I would advise anybody that wants to get involved in law, if it's your passion to do it. Um, Not that being said, no, that being said, I would say law is the best profession there is. It's the best. I make no bones about it. I may not have a passion for law as I have for history, but I could never disregard the the value of law and becoming a lawyer. Law has opened a number of doors for me. which I don't think any other profession could. Laws open political doors, economic doors, intellectual doors, you name it. Law has opened all of those doors for me, and I don't think any other profession um, could do that. I'm not knocking any other profession. I'm just saying law is one of the things that I think has made it easier for me to walk certain corridors, and we don't have a respect for other professions as we do law. So law always has had that esteem about it. So I would never discourage anyone from doing a law. But I would say, if it is your passion, go for it. And you need to follow your passion because you may get involved in a field, not have a passion for it, and then you suffer in it. Then it becomes torture, it becomes work. Whereas if you have that passion, you have that love for it, you don't feel a single moment doing it. And for me, that is with history. I could do history all day, every day. But I can't do law all day, every day. That is hands down. I could do history all day, every day. 2020, when the pandemic hit, I had I always had the idea of opening a cigar lounge. That came when I visited Cuba with the medical council. I think that was in 2019. 2018, 2019, I visited Cuba with the Guyana Medical Council. So we at the hotel there was a cigar lounge. And then we went down to downtown Havana. There was another cigar lounge. And I love cigars, you know. So I'm like, wow, Guyana, we have nothing like this here. I was like, that'd be cool really to get something like this here. So right away I went and incorporated a company called Cigars and Cognac and had the idea of doing a cigar lounge. I started preparing the itinerary, the inventory, sorry. So even though I still have that email with the inventory of all the cigars, all the cognacs, and I think this is the world, yeah? All the popular cognacs, all the popular cigars. I still have that inventory today. And one of these days, when I really do a complete cigar lounge, I'd have all those things available. So came together and like I brought some cigars, and I was like, "Nah, James, you gotta do something with this here." So I'm saying, let me start selling cigars. So I built a wood hut with some nice branches at the top, and I took it on Melanie Market on the road and started selling. I started 3 boxes of cigars, and 3 bottles of rum, bottle of Hennessy, bottle of Ciroc, and a bottle of Black Label. And that's how I started cigars and cognac with just that. And then Floyd Arthur, he had a barbershop in front, but he had a bar, but it closed down. So I'm like, hey, you want a business partner? You can open back up this bar and sell cigars and do whatever. So on September, I think it was September 20th, 19th of September, you know, 2020, we moved into a lot of small space, a very small space, like this room actually. And we started, doing cocktails and selling cigars and it developed from then. Person started catching on. Um, I got a very strong following on social media, so persons came and support, and I must say thank you to the overseas based Guyanese and the locals for supporting me from day one, from day one. So I started with 3 tables, 12 chairs, built a deck, 3 tables, 12 chairs, no roof. And the rain comes, you got to run inside. um, from then, we started growing because the business model I utilized was that the proceeds from the business, use it to grow the business, So I tell people for like up to the now, I can't tell the last day I bought a sneakers or bought a suit, or just to start a car rental is when we actually took some money and do start buy 2 cars, start a little car rental or whatever, and do some renovations. But 90% of the revenue from the business, the profits, we plunge it back into the business. So the business grew. I was like this space to this space to this space to this space, and we started just developing the infrastructure. and it's paid off. Is that what we've been able to do in 2 years? It would take businesses like 10 years if they were not to follow our business model. If you were to like do other things with the revenue from the business, you would take a longer time. So we actually grew exponentially in terms of infrastructure. Um, Still a lot more to be done, but it is very popular night spot, very, very popular. Um, we do Mondays events every single day. We have things going on every day that everybody knows about. Is our karaoke where we feature local singers, local artists. We had a few international artists as well performing during our karaoke. That's on Wednesdays. But right through Mondays to Mondays, Sunday to Sunday, we're open, have great food, great, great food. Um, and everything is there in one space. You get cocktails, you get food, you get your local beverages. Um, so again, it's not been no challenge. I mean, we've had some serious challenges, that could have affected our very existence. But we persevered, persistent, and we're going into year three now. This is September last will be 2 years, so we actually going into our third year, and all praise is due to Yeshua. Without God, imagine I had a whole conversation and mentioned God, huh? So without God's help, I don't think we would have been able to be where we are today. In the space where we are today. And one thing that was good because of the business that we did, it did a spin off on other businesses in the area as well. So other businesses in the area are thriving as well. I'm happy about to see the growth of all these businesses. And just yesterday, one of the person in the area saying, Mr. Bond, I'm going to buy a vehicle now. I mean, I'm now able to purchase my own vehicle. So it's good seeing everybody grow together. I believe, honestly, I think you have more value when you start small. I'm not knocking those who got it big, who walked into wealth. God bless you. But for me, my journey, um, starting small in every single regard, from where I was, you kind of have a more appreciation for where you are today. My children will definitely not start small, but I have a value for where I started from. For 2023, my motto is stay in your own lane, run your own race at your own pace. That's the only way you can win. You know, um, I have fulfillment. Um, I know my purpose. And that's something that I don't want to say a lot of people should do. You gotta walk in your purpose and walk in your calling. That's the only way you're gonna be happy. We have a lot of miserable people out there because they don't know what they're meant to do, who they were meant to be. So they'll never be happy. I'm fulfilled, extremely fulfilled in every single regard um, of my life. The only if I'm a critic, I like critiquing myself too. The only thing I'm not happy with, and my mom and dad can be so happy to hear this, is my spiritual life. You know, um, I don't find time enough to pray and meditate and that kind of thing. So that's the only part that I really gotta shore up on and trying to work on a bit more because like I said we had a call I spoke like 7 how much minutes and they mentioned my creator and they mentioned Yeshua is my Lord and Savior, all right, and that should be the first thing out my mouth, so that is something I have to work on, to make sure that at the end of the day stay connected to my creator, stay rooted, stay grounded, stay humble. I give back a lot. That's something I my accountant, he was like, James, do you know you give back over 20% of your revenue? That's something that I believe in. I believe in giving. It's blessed to give than receive. So even though you're successful, it doesn't take away from the fact in humanity you recognize your journey. A lot of people, a lot of successful people recognize the journey, and that along this journey you had help. You had help, so it becomes a responsibility of yours, not only pull a generation along or pull people along, but to give credit to whom credit is due. And one of the things to whom one of the big things or big person's credit is due is God. So again, success means you don't lose your humanity. That's for me success. It's not about making a bunch of money. Because there are people who make a bunch of money and excuse me, they lost their humanity. They're less caring. Um, they're less concerned about what their masters are going through. Um, they don't have a relationship with their families. That's not what success is. Success means rounded. It's not just financial. That's just one aspect of success. You gotta be successful in your health, successful in your wealth, success in your spiritual life, and so many other categories go into who you are that you must be successful at.
There is always someone there to call your own. Just remember, my dear friend,